We got a couple things to cover today. We've got Google Classroom, survey, and 2 lessons. So please get out your Chromebooks because we're going to do the Google Classroom first. Oh, you just had to write this in your agenda.
Oh, I already did.
Yeah, so then that's all for your agenda. All right, so you're at my Google Classroom link right there. Steve, looking good so far? All right.
Joe.
Good question.
Don't hear the air. Just tap the power button. And then when you want it back on, just tap it again. But don't hold it.
All right. Looking good. All right, so next thing is the survey. You're gonna go to the 7th grade learning link, Google Slides deck, whatever you wanna call it. Looks like that. Okay, so open that up. If you don't already, you should star it and have it as a bookmark, because hopefully you guys go into this a lot. Okay, then on the top here, click on me, bouncing up here. All right, so click months, September, 7th grade. Should say 7th grade, but it doesn't. Don't start the survey yet, but you should be right here. Oops.
No, this.
All right. Okay, thumbs up if everyone's here. Okay, so this survey, don't start yet. Eyeballs up here. Okay, this survey is a pre-survey that you guys took last year in 6th grade. You'll take again in 8th grade. And then normally we do a post-survey in May, but we didn't get to that last year because we weren't here in May. So hopefully we'll get to, cross our fingers that we'll get to it this year in May. But it's the same 13 questions that you had in 6th grade, and it will be the same 13 questions in 8th grade. It's just to see if you learned anything with my counseling lessons from September to May. So I will read you the questions and then just answer them truthfully and honestly, because if you just click and not read them or don't pay attention to them, it's not helping anyone, and it's certainly not helping me. So please just answer them truthfully. So go ahead and click on pre-survey. I'll read the questions to you. All right, first of all, what grade are you in? Number 1, I have the skill to figure out how to reach my goals. Meaning that maybe you haven't reached some of your goals yet, and that's okay, but you have the skills to reach your goals. So you strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. Strongly agree means that you always have the skills to reach your goals. Agree means that most of the time you have the skills. Disagree means that most of the time you don't really have it, and then strongly disagree means you never have the skills. Okay? Number 2, and don't move forward by the way. Number 2, I think about the consequences or what might happen before I make a decision. Strongly agree means that you always think about the consequences, so pros and cons of your decisions. Agree means that most of the time. Disagree means that most of the time you don't. And then strongly disagree means you never, ever think about the consequences. Number 3, I use different strategies to calm myself down when my body signals that I'm upset. So when you feel yourself getting upset, do you take deep breaths? Do Do you walk away? Do you change the subject? Do you do different strategies to calm yourself down? So strongly agree means that you do. Agree means that most of the time you do. Strongly disagree means that most of the time you don't. And then strongly disagree means that you never ever can calm yourself down when you're upset. Number 4, when I'm under a lot of pressure, I can take a few deep breaths or find something to laugh about. You might not do that, but strongly agree means that you know you can do that, and then agree some more. 5, I know healthy ways to help me relax. Do you know that you can journal, walk, take a shower, talk to a friend, do artwork, do whatever you need to do to help you relax. Number 6, I watch other students' body language to help me understand what they are trying to say. If you see someone that's upset, can you tell that they're upset without them having to tell you that they are upset? Or do they have to tell you that? Strongly agree means that every single time you know. Number 7, I use active listening skills when interacting with others, meaning that you look them in the eye. You don't have a phone out. You're not on your computer. You're not writing anything. Do you use active listening skills? So you give them your full attention. Great. I know how to stand up for myself if a friend wanted me to do something I knew was wrong. Okay, maybe you haven't had to do this before, but do you know how to stand up for yourself? If a friend wanted you to do something that you knew was wrong. Number 9, I try to use peaceful ways to work out disagreements or conflicts with others. Meaning instead of blowing up at them, you know how to use peaceful ways. Okay? Number 10, I am confident that I can use my peer refusal strategies to avoid fighting, smoking, drinking, or using drugs. Do you know that you can say no? Do you know that you can walk away? Do you know the broken record method? No, I don't drink, all that stuff that we've been teaching you all these years. Do you know about those, and are you confident you can use those strategies? 11, I might respond to a bully's teasing or name calling by ignoring it, changing the subject, or saying stop bothering me. So pick any one of those. Do you know that you can do those, and you're confident you would use one of those strategies? 12, I accept people who are different from me. And 13, if someone started calling me names in the hallway, I could just walk away. Meaning you might not have ever had to do that before, but do you know that you can do that? So strongly agree means that, yep, you know you can do it. All right, submit. And then you can put away your Chromebooks because we don't need them. But make sure you submit. Okay. So 2 lessons today. The first one is learning from mistakes and failure, and the second one is identifying roadblocks, which kind of go hand in hand. So as we were last year, when we were here in school, we were using the second step curriculum. That's the same thing we'll be using in 7th grade and in 8th grade too. The first one, learning from our mistakes and failure. In this lesson, we will explore how mistakes can be learning opportunities. Warm up. What is something different, new, or difficult? Gotta do that again. What's something new or difficult you did recently where you messed up or made a mistake? What's something new or difficult where you messed up or made a mistake? Okay, the first hour came up with a lot of different sports related things. So they were thinking of like baseball and football and soccer. And then they came up with some hunting things that it was new or difficult and they messed up or made a mistake. Some people came up with some school stuff. Okay, all right, let's hear it.
Like in Muslim doing a move that was new, like I messed up before and then I just go to the
Alright, how many of you, when you're trying something new right off the bat, you are perfect? Alright, besides Mrs. Johnson over there, I think pretty much none of us, right? And that's okay, because we have to learn from, how we learn from our mistakes is what matters. Not that we made a mistake, but how we learn from our mistakes is how we grow. Okay, so thank you for that example. Loretta?
Yesterday, I was at a friend's house, and their cats had kittens, so I decided to do something creative and made a house for the kittens out of cardboard box.
Okay, perfect. Did it get messed up or did you make a mistake with it? Okay, tell me the mistake.
There were multiple floors, and I had to use duct tape to, like, take wood up to the floors. And when I was cutting in windows, I cut into part of the duct tape.
Alright, perfect. And did you learn from that mistake? Alright, so, are we all human? Do we make mistakes? Alright, here we go. Let's see what this video has to say here. Oh, thank you, yes. Alright, learning from failure, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
When it first opened to the public in 1940, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Washington State was the third longest suspension bridge in the world and a wonder to behold. But after only 4 months in operation, it
Alright, give it a second here. No, it's thinking.
It crashed into the water below. What caused this amazing span of steel and concrete to collapse? To understand why the bridge collapsed, it helps to understand why it was built in the first place. People needed an easy, fast way to cross the Tacoma Narrows. Engineers presented the state with two options. They chose the lighter suspension design because
Alright. Oh. Sorry, guys.
when it first opened to the public in 1940, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Washington State was the third long.
Yeah?
Just pass it.
Sorry, 1% at a time. What'd you say, Joy?
My, hearing aids are dead. Can I
Oh.
do that?
Do you need to go somewhere? Do you want to go back to Krieg or something?
No, it's fine, I can still hear you.
What? What'd you say?
Pause it and wait for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Longest suspension bridge in the world and a wonder to behold. But after only 4 months in operation,
Alright, let me
it
pause it.
crashed into the water below.
So it hopefully goes here.
Looks like it's loaded up a while.
Okay.
What caused this amazing span of steel and concrete to collapse? To understand why the bridge collapsed, it helps to understand why it was built in the first place. People needed an easy, fast way to cross the Tacoma Narrows. Engineers presented the state with two options. They chose the lighter suspension design because it would look better, be faster to build, and save the state $5 million. Some engineers voiced concerns that
Pause this.
Alright.
Yeah, just click the pause button.
the lighter, narrower design was structurally unsound for the conditions of the Narrows, but saving time and money was appealing enough that state officials moved forward with the cheaper option. Unfortunately, as the engineers had suspected, the design was flawed. The structure would undulate up and down in the strong winds across the Narrows. Not exactly a comfortable ride. Soon after its unveiling, the bridge was nicknamed Galloping Gertie. On a particularly windy day, several
sorry guys.
Months after it opened, the bridge's up and down motion grew to a violent twisting from side to side.
That's
The
real,
force
by
was
the way.
too much for the span to handle, and Gertie could gallop no more.
First song was good. Did not do that.
The collapse of the Tacoma Narrows.
Did it when I was in sixth
I
grade
think
last
Cecilia's
Monday
is
though.
sucking up all the internet, you have like the Zoom tabs.
Click the what?
Mr. Cecilia's has the most tabs open,
Oh,
like 20.
Yeah, he's a lot. Yeah.
I can't function like that.
Narrows Bridge was a shock, but there were lessons to be learned. Engineers seeking to learn.
I'm emailing Seth.
Okay, thank you.
Just email Mr. Cecilia.
Okay.
Learning everything they could from their catastrophic mistake began a 10-year period of research and design. The final design they created was a sturdier, wider bridge that had been rigorously tested for safety in high winds. The replacement Tacoma Narrows Bridge was open to traffic on October 14, 1950. Sturdy Gertie, as the new bridge became known, was indeed more solid than its predecessor. So solid, in fact, that when an eastbound companion bridge was completed in 2007, Sturdy Gertie was still standing, strong as ever. It stood the test of time for nearly 70 years. The replacement Tacoma Narrows Bridge is considered a hallmark of aerodynamic engineering that ushered in a new era of suspension bridge design. It even led engineers to reinforce other bridges across the country. None of these advances in bridge design or engineering would have been possible if it weren't for one big mistake and a group of determined people
We were so close.
who refused to give up until they'd learned from it.
Oh,
Get ready for the next one.
Okay, so we are gonna do this. This is partner work. You do not have a handout. Only one of you needs a sheet of paper. But you're gonna answer 3 different questions. So I'll go through the questions, and then I'll give you about 3 minutes to finish them. It's only 3 questions. So, what big mistake did the engineers make? What did they learn from the mistake? And then what would have happened if they would have given up? So I know that you guys have partners in here because I saw your sheet, so if you forgot. Oh, and make sure you're social distancing yourself from your partner, okay? All right, let's see.
Pick our own, or you're picking?
They have been pre-picked for you from Mrs. Johnson. So, Landon, Lorelei, Bradley, Sienna, Emma, Omar, Emma Ray, Joey, Libby, Dylan, Maggie, Carlton, Addie, Aiden, Lexi, JD, Loretta, Parker, Ava, Ian, Elena, Dan, Grace. All right, go for it. 3 minutes. Oh, raise your hand if your partner's not here. You guys, yep. I didn't even get it. Danny, I'm gonna put you with. Danny. Let's go with, how about, let's go with, Elena's group. What? With Elena's group.
Will you jot that down on that sheet?
Yeah.
And I'll just keep it that way.
Wait, Elena, right?
That's Maggie. Maggie.
Maggie, I'm sorry, Maggie. Okay, Elena's not here then?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I'm still gonna put, Danny, you're gonna be with the boys then. Okay? Alright, sorry, Maggie. Alright, go for it, 3 minutes.
Yeah, Ian.
We'll just go over there.
Only one person needs to write. Make sure you're apart from each other. Grab a sheet of paper. Everyone, one person needs a sheet of paper for your group. Cause you gotta write it down. I'm not calling you guys.
I'm not writing.
So, yep. Get a sheet of paper. You just need your own notebook. That's all you need. Okay, 2 minutes and I will be calling on groups. All right, 1 more minute.
Take time to.
There would be no bridge.
All right, here we go. What big mistake did the engineers make? Okay, Omar's group, what did you guys come up with?
They picked a cheaper and easier way.
Yes, that was their big mistake. They picked a cheaper and easier way and, a lot less material, right? Yes, yep, that was their big mistake. What did they learn from their mistake? Libby's group.
Number 2.
Yep, number 2.
They learn to choose the safer option and take time to test it.
Yes, they learned that, well, A, cheaper isn't always better, and B, take time to test things, and they needed more material too. So yes, exactly what you guys were saying. Number 3, what would have happened if they would have given up? Okay, Dan's group.
There wouldn't have been a bridge and they would have had to go the long way around.
Yes, there wouldn't have been a bridge, right, girls? There wouldn't have been a bridge. They would have had to take the long way around. And then 3, did anyone catch what happened at the very end of the video, Loretta?
A lot more bridges would have been reinforced.
Exactly. So there are 3 bridges in the U.S. that wouldn't even have been reinforced had this bridge not fallen down in the first place. So they would have learned from it. So perfect. Yes. Good job. All right, you guys can go back to your desks. Okay, so we're gonna read this little story here, and we're gonna see what Manny's mistake was. So Manny loves to read, but when he was younger, he had very few books at home. He wants to get donations of used or new children's books to give to younger students. He decides to post flyers at school to advertise his project. All right, there he is posting his flyers. Even though he put up flyers all over school, Manny only received one donation. It's been a whole month. He feels discouraged and ready to quit. Manny wonders if he should redesign the flyers or make them bigger. Then he looks around at all his classmates. Everyone is busy checking their phones. Instead of making new flyers, Manny creates a website and a few social media accounts to promote his project. He tells his friends about his website and they share it with others. Word spreads and Manny receives several donations. People even like and share photos of his project on social media. Alright, number one, what was Manny's mistake?
He didn't keep up with the, new age of his world and didn't post on the internet.
Yes. Okay, first of all, his posters were small. Second of all, he only did posters. He didn't do anything with social media. Yep, that was his mistake. What did he learn from the mistake? Sienna.
Found out that everybody was busy checking their phones and then when looking at the flyers, so he decided to upgrade it to social media.
That's exactly right. So, no one was reading his posters. He noticed that people were checking their phones, so then he put everything on social media and then had his friends share things. So that's what he learned from the mistake. What would have happened if he would have given up? Aiden.
He wouldn't have as many books either.
He would just have the one donation, right? He wouldn't have any books to give away. It was just the one donation. What could have happened later on in life if he was discouraged from this one project in school? What could have happened later on in life?
He wouldn't try new things.
He wouldn't try new things. Yeah. It would be harder for him to try new things because he already has in his mind that he's gonna not do a good job and he's gonna fail or make a mistake. Perfect. Okay, think about the mistake you described in the warm-up. What have you learned from it and what could you do differently? Okay, for those of you who talked or maybe you didn't talk and you want to talk, what have you learned from your mistake and what could
Whoever's doing that, you can
you
stop,
do
please.
differently? What have you learned from your mistake? What could you do differently? Or if you didn't talk at the beginning and you thought about a mistake, something, remember at the beginning it was this. It was not that one, it was this one. What's something new or difficult you did recently where you messed up or made a mistake? Okay, so remember back to that. Now, what have you learned from it and what could you do differently? Loretta?
Probably trace out what the windows are gonna be, or how my floors are gonna be.
Perfect. So remember her example was the cat tower thing, right? And so she could redesign it, she could trace it, she could think about it ahead of time, plan it out. So that's what she learned from it and she could have done differently. Awesome. Aiden?
I didn't share earlier, but I have more to share now. So I was at a friend's this weekend, and, we were building like this, like the cat things, where it's like this hat thing with crazy post, and then where it's like ordered, like with your own,
Yeah.
all the parts. We actually put in the wrong screws, so when we had it there, it basically just tipped over, and none of it stayed.
So it didn't work. So what did you guys learn from it?
We read the instructions here.
Okay. So when you're building things, it's a good idea to read the instructions, right? Perfect. Or that's something you could have done differently. Awesome.